Hi, and welcome to another episode of Helsinki Junior Developers podcast series. This time we have a discussion with 3 students who are finishing up with their studies in 2020 January program. Thank you and welcome Florence, Kata and Tanja.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your background? How did you end up applying to the program?
So my background is mainly with arts. I have a degree in communication design as well as advertising and marketing. So moving on, I ended up with this program because I tried doing some kind of web development in my bachelor's degree in my final year. It was kind of a proof of concept my university wanted to try out. I ended up falling in love with it. I was interested in what it was all about. So I decided to specialize in it by contributing and making use of my communication design background and see how it works with web development. And that's how I got involved.
My background, I used to work as a benefits officer for 10 years. The last 3 years I worked as a team lead, and I started to think about if there is anything I would like to study, or or am I doing the thing that I would want to do. And I got interested in coding, and I went to the Kata launch where there were different schools presenting their programs, and I got interested in Helsinki Business College Helsinki's program because it was 17 months and it had 5 months of internship, and I thought that 5 months would be long enough to realize if this field is something in which I would like to work in.
So my background is I have a master's in agriculture and forestry. I then moved to do a PhD in molecular biology, but kind of started to feel like in Finland you don't get that many job opportunities with that, and I hate competing with my friends, and it felt like there's not that many openings, and I want to have some kind of stability in my life. So I decided that programming, that sounds interesting. I already did that a bit during my PhD period, and then decided that that would be a good choice to find possibly a steady job in the future.
What about you, Tanja? You went to the Kata event. What made you actually go into get your curiosity going about coding and technology?
I actually heard a friend say that his hobby is coding, and I was like, oh, what is coding like as a hobby? And it kind of fascinated me, and I decided that I would like to check that too, because I had been doing the job I had for already for 10 years. I was like, I want to acquire new skills, and I did some coding on the internet, and I started a mock from Helsinki University's mock program, and I really liked to solve those issues, and I also talked to my husband, and he actually noticed me with Kata, and I thought that it would be a good place to start finding information about this field. Yeah, that's how it started.
What about you, Florence?
Oh well, I'll say that it was triggered mostly during my final year, during my bachelor's degree, and by then I was already preparing to do my master's. But by then I didn't have a lot of knowledge with the coding stuff. It was basic HTML, CSS, and also using Dreamweaver. That was just to get us started. So I decided that I will specialize in this after my master's degree because I was equally interested in my master's degree as well. And that's how it all started. I am also very design oriented. I have an eye for design. I love to see the beauty part of everything, how things are moving. So my focus was to be a front-end developer and where I could apply all these interests and be able to make something, to be able to be creative and make something come to life was something that I found very interesting. So I decided to go for it and I don't regret it. I'm really excited that I'm able to apply all this knowledge and to be able to do something I find creative. So that's how I got started and got interested in it.
Did you finish your master's or did you delve into the software development world just after
I
bachelor's?
finished my master's. I finished in January at the same time when I also started with coding. So it was a bit into it, but I finished it off before I started properly. Yeah, it was an exciting time.
How about you, Kata? I remember we actually had like a interview together. I don't know if you remember. And I remember you talked about coding with R, involving
Yes.
with research. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was originally supposed to start a year before I started. So I I still continued for a year with my PhD studies, even though I kind of already decided that I want to switch to programming. So yeah, while doing research, I used R and did some data analysis with that, but also kind of like Tanja, my real interest started to kind of spark with the Mimmit Kooda program and kind of seeing that it's really something that you can do and it's not just for the super smart people, even though I don't know why I was kind of doubting myself doing a PhD, but I was still like, oh, I'm not smart enough for that. And also kind of what Florence was saying, so I also used a bit of Dreamweaver during my studies, so kind of doing some small website things for our research group. So kind of bit by bit getting that courage that it's actually something that more or less anyone can do, of course on the level of who does it better, but still that you can learn the skills and it's fun.
yeah, I'm going to take us back to 2020. And when you started studying in the program, you were actually in a classroom. So can you remember a world like that? What was it like to study and start in the program? Can you remember what were your feelings and thoughts back then?
I can start actually, if it's okay. I was really excited. I mean, I had this. I selected this program because it was gonna happen in a classroom. I felt like that. I would like to share ideas with my schoolmates and be part of a group, and also teachers would be there and you could ask questions, and it went like that for like 6 or 7 weeks. But yeah, I was really excited to start.
Yeah, I remember meeting Tanya. I think in the first week, it was really interesting to come across all. I remember she told me she said it to a few friends that she couldn't sleep because she was so excited about seeing starting the class and she didn't know what to expect. I will say that it was a really exciting start. I was happy that I was going to come across and meet new people and get to work together. I wasn't sure what to expect either, but I think it started slowly and it was really helpful with people all around you to make you to share how they really feel about how classes are going, how the new the new stuff they are learning is. So it was really encouraging, and I think that helped a lot, that you felt you were not so much alone in learning. So I think that's a really good thing. And the teachers were also helpful with answering questions when we needed some answers or clarifications.
Yeah, I can relate to that all. So it was really, really exciting, really nice to have the classroom setting and to kind of get someone to come next to you to stand on the computer and meeting people that you kind of probably in the future meet in the workplaces and kind of start to network with your future peers, kind of future colleagues, and getting those connections started and just this excitement of a new life.
And then, of course, March came, and we switched to remote. And of course, there's also the fun to meet new people and to do things outside the classroom. But remote, what was it like to actually studying remote? Because I believe that I remember before the midsummer, we had like the first small student project demo, and I was watching the demos, and I was like, wow, even though you were studying remotely, I'm amazed how far you've gotten in this sort of period of time. But of course, it wasn't. Of course, it was so different. What was it like? Can you remember that transition?
I think first it was actually kind of like exotic and even kind of like a bit of a relief to just be able to not travel to the campus, and you could stay at home, you could stay in pajamas and whatnot. But that, I think the kind of exotic part of it soon faded. And then the reality of actually kind of that you needed to motivate yourself more to work, and not just because you could just do nothing. But then having the group projects, I think those were a kind of good motivation to keep going.
For me, the first 2 weeks were really difficult. I was really angry. Actually, I was quite mad because I missed the school setting. I missed the person next to me with whom I could talk about how I felt and what felt difficult or ask for advice. There you were at home and you lost that kind of opportunity to be like spontaneous and ask. I can ask questions. I'm not afraid to ask them or appear quite silly or something like that, but it took me time to not motivate. I was motivated all the time, but to come across that this is now the new reality, and I cannot do anything about it. So, but yeah, I was really angry.
I can relate to all that you said. I mean, the first few weeks were kind of chill, being home, just studying from home. At the same time, like you said, it was difficult to get an instant answer when you needed it. But at the same time, I think for me, it encouraged me to do a lot of independent learning and searching and going deep to find answers. It wasn't so sweet, but I think it was a necessary stage. So I would say that's one learning point from it. Overall, one other thing that I liked about the remote way of learning was that we could record and to be able to watch the recordings later of the lectures. So it was also good for reference in case I missed something from the class. Yeah.
And I must say that at hindsight, it was very helpful. But at the moment, you couldn't tell how much that time period would last. But I had never worked remotely or studied remotely, so it was a really new thing for me at that time.
Yeah, I mean, when you're studying remotely, you cannot just spontaneously ask, and of course, everyone's reachable, but it's different to just spontaneously ask a fellow student or a teacher in a classroom setting than raise a hand in Teams or give a direct message or whatever. I mean, it sounds silly when you say it out loud that it's it's not that easy, but it actually makes communication and asking so much more of work, so that you will not do it that often.
Yeah, I agree because when it comes to maybe trying to communicate with someone, when the person is before you, it's much easier. And when you have to type it, you're trying to kind of think of it like how will this person read it? Like trying to, the non-verbal communication part is cut off. So it's also added to trying to really make sense to the next person. But it was also good, I think, in either ways to be able to do that as well.
Yeah. And after the midsummer, I think you all enjoyed at least a couple of weeks of summer holidays. Or how much did you actually push even then? But
Yeah, sorry.
sorry.
I actually didn't have any vacation. I was doing an internship during the summer, so it was all working for me or studying.
It was same for me. I think we had a task to be able to study some things while on the break. So it was constant studying, and it's understandable because the program is quite intensive, and you need to remember something when you have to come to class the next time. So it was also a good exercise to keep practicing and learning new things. I also got into an internship along the way during the summer. So I think it's been busy this past year until now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the odd one out. So actually, I had a vacation of about 2 weeks, and then I was also kind of trying to wrap up my university life at the same time. I'm still trying to do that. So it's kind of it would have been much easier to kind of have everything wrapped up before starting this. But in a way, it's been nice to kind of find those connections between my past life, so to speak, and now with the new stuff with the programming, to find those kind of like, oh, that thing from my past helps me now, and this new thing from the programming actually helps me to wrap up the old things. And yeah.
Yeah. During the fall, I think that each and every one of you took different paths in the program. I think Tanja, you went and started an internship, and Florence, you as well, and Katarina, I believe you took the planned route with the courses and the company collaboration project.
Yeah. Actually, for me, I think it was really nice. I was very lucky in the company project to land one where we had an actual client. Like, we had the collaborative company with us, but they had already like another client outside of that, and to then work for a real quick project, it was very interesting. And although I was also feeling like really hectic, like, oh my God, everyone else is starting their internships. I'm just lagging here behind, but it was a really good experience. And I think I hope that the next groups get to do those collaborative projects as well.
Yeah, I mean, I at the same time was thinking that good for the students for moving forward, but oh my God, we don't have students in the company projects. But yeah, when I saw that company project that you created, I was like, yeah, this is really, really good. So kudos on that, Kata.
Thank you.
I was actually really looking forward to the company project, but at the same time, maybe I shouldn't have worried about the internship place so much, but I started to search for that place already in the beginning of autumn, and then I happened to find it. So the company Digia, they needed me, or like, how should I say, they had a need for me, so I was happy to accept their offer. But yeah, and I'm really thankful that I was able to start my internship already after the autumn holiday.
Well, I will say that at the time where I started with the internship, I was also quite worried that it would be too late to find a place to do an internship. And I finally got one which required me to work remotely. I mean, looking at the situation. But at the same time, I wanted a situation where I could learn very fast. I felt I had learned a lot of things in theory, a little bit with practical, but I wanted to get the professional experience a bit so that even if I have to do the internship for maybe even more than expected, I don't mind, because in the end, I felt that I will push myself to be able to understand things quickly, get to know and set myself in the motion for how it really works in the professional world. It was overwhelming in the beginning. I was wondering why I did that. But overall, it was a good experience because I learned a lot in such a short time, and it gave me more confidence in my second internship. I knew the right questions to ask, what to expect, and how to go about it. So that's it from me.
How did you feel about the transition from doing the program studies to internship? Have you found a lot of different differences in studying and doing an internship in a workplace setting?
I think when it comes to doing the real work, this is a really real work in the job. It's not just like building apps in school and maybe with teammates and all that. But I would say that what we did in school, the projects we built were a good stepping stone to be able to really work in a team when it comes to the job field. It gives a general idea so that you're not lost when you start. And it was really good in the end. And yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
I also thought that that the things that we learned at school were really important and beneficial. Sometimes I didn't quite understand why we were studying something, but then I noticed that this is actually important. So it was good that the school already gave us showed us things that are important in programming. So I was maybe questioning, why do we have this Scrum here? But now I see that the Scrum method, it's like we follow it. I have been in 2 teams. I have seen 2 teams practicing their Scrum, if you can say it like that, and have their meetings and even playing poker. So that transition wasn't actually that difficult.
Poker, I mean, you mean planning poker?
Yes. Planning poker. I shortened it to poker.
Yeah, I think that we all know what you're talking about, but our potential viewers might not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree that it wasn't quite as difficult, and kind of at least from my experience, kind of having this feeling that we already had all this experience of writing code and not just having theory, but the practical knowledge was really nice, and kind of giving that, because it's always kind of nerve-wracking to start something new, and then having at least that feeling that, okay, at least I know how to put my fingers to the keyboard, not necessarily writing the best code or, knowing straight away what to write, but at least having that kind of experience of doing teamwork with others and doing the Scrum and doing the Scrum poker and all those things. So kind of not feeling so outside of the pack while starting the internship.
Yeah, and from our standpoint, we started 5 years ago from doing courses about bits and bolts, and I always wanted that we should have like a full package, and we've been working in collaboration. Of course, we started I personally started collaborating with companies 2017, but in a like a program level, and then we have been trying to be more on the skin of companies, in the sense that we are constantly communicating with different companies, and we have like the idea of what it's actually like in a company setting, what kind of technologies they are needing right now. And I mean, it's so important, I think, that if you can get like a good overview, because developers' job is a specialist job, but it's also a generalist job, because you have to have strong skills in some things and decent skills and knowledge in a wide variety of different things. So job descriptions will be very, very fearful looking if you don't know, and if you don't have like first-hand knowledge. But what do you think could we offer you that kind of a sense that you can do it? And there's like 10 different technologies and methodologies listed, but you can be confident and apply.
I would say kind of like I don't know how confident I am, but at least the technologies that we came across and that were taught to us, it was things that are really relevant at the moment, at least what I've kind of understood. So that was really good. I think the problem was that since we had to move to everyone to their own homes and kind of everything is remotely, that kind of messed up a bit the flow, especially last spring. So it was very hard also for the teachers to kind of all of a sudden mold everything into the remote setting. But in a way, I feel there's constantly something new coming. So even if I didn't learn something perfectly, it doesn't matter. You just keep on learning, and there'll be some new things that we never heard during our studies coming, and there'll be other teammates who have never heard of those things either. So
That's true.
And I think the school also prepared us for, like, we were a React group. We had Node, but I have learned Python, and it was much easier to learn Python after you had been studying JavaScript, and it gave me confidence to that I can learn new things, that it doesn't have to be just restricted to what we were studying. Like it was a start from where we can build and learn new things, and I yeah.
Yeah. I think as compared to maybe most courses in schools where they teach everything, and then you might just know a little bit of pieces of almost everything, this was very targeted and kind of, in a sense, makes you job ready. So just specific for the field. And I think it was really good, the languages as well. The selected one. I haven't come across any role so far I haven't come across anything that I haven't been required to, that I haven't learned from class. So I see all of them to be relevant. And yeah, I think, like Tanya said, it's like having the foundation and now knowing that you will be able to pick up and learn any other thing quickly. So I think it was a really good choice.
Yeah, I mean what Kata said about the remote studying and teachers adjustment. I mean, if you think about like Teams and audio quality, video quality, and lag, all of those are, even though you're not paying attention to them, they are like, it's so much harder to follow things if there's a small lag. Even like a 0.1 second lag sometimes makes like a learning period of 5 minutes maybe almost worthless. So it's really hard. It was a hard time in that sense too, and but we had many good discussions with teachers, and I myself personally also learned new ways of facilitating teaching style adjustments. So that was good for me, a good experience for me. So how about now? What are you currently doing?
Well, I can start. I am finishing my internship next week, the 9th of March, and then I will continue working at Digia. I got a position as a developer, so I'm really
Congrats.
happy. Thank you.
Congrats.
Thanks. So it's it's really nice. What I set out to do, I actually wrote when I applied to Business College Helsinki, I wrote there that I want to work in Digi, and
Oh wow.
and it happened. So it's
Wow.
really nice.
Dream come true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing an internship with Druid, and mostly front end, but a little bit of back end. So I see that it was really useful again that we learned both front and back, because it makes maybe someone in my position more valuable, because you understand both the front and the back rather than just the front or just the back. And it makes it easier, because if there's something going wrong, you know what is really happening. You are able to figure it out and not be so dependent on someone else. Yeah. So that's what I've mostly been doing with Druid, learning a lot, I must say, and learning by doing. So really good experience so far.
Good to
Yeah,
hear.
I'm only halfway through my internship at the moment. Also mostly front end stuff, but I was just counting that I think so. I'm at PhD Full Stack. It's a consulting company. So I've been in quite a few different projects. Right now, I'm in a project doing some React Native. So that's interesting. Not too different, but kind of something new, and also trying my hand at WordPress and stuff like that in different projects. So it's been something new almost every week.
Sounds interesting. What would you want to say to yourself 1.5 years ago when you were thinking about, should I apply, or thinking about would technology and software development be a career path for me? What would you say to yourself?
I think I would say to me that, well done, that you actually had the courage to do it, but don't be so scared and doubt yourself. I try to enjoy my studies as much as possible, because I think this study leave is a really great opportunity for us adults to study things. But yeah, I was worried about am I too old and all that. So maybe like do not stress so much and don't worry so much.
Yeah, I agree with Tanya. I would tell myself that I'm really happy I made this decision, because I see the world to be growing more and more into technology, and I don't feel I'm going to be missing out on anything. So I'm really happy I also had the courage to do it. It was a lot of mental fortitude work, and with a lot of steep learning curve. But I'm happy that I stood by my word and decided to move on with it. Now I know that I need to make up my mind that anything is possible so far as I set up my mind to do it. So I hope this will encourage someone not to step back and doubt themselves. Just try it. At least fail before you make a decision. Yeah. And when you fail, you get up and try again. Yes.
Yeah, the same for me. Kind of, I would tell myself to not worry so much, and like Tanya and Florence, that kind of congratulate myself for the courage to take the step and start that change instead of just laying in the fire and worrying about nothing changing, and taking that step and initiative to make that change, but also kind of that tell myself to trust my instincts more in a way. Kind of like when I felt like I was struggling with something, to then maybe then look at another thing first and then jump back and not be so hard on myself if I didn't learn something the first time, and just kind of tell myself to be patient and keep going, and tell myself that it's enough that what I was doing and what I'm still doing.
Yeah, well said. A part of this job that makes me most happy, the happiest, is seeing students succeed. So that's like the ultimate joy in this job. So I'm super glad for all of you. And I mean, the situation and the remote thing and all the hardships, and 1 year is such a short time, and it's such a stressful year, and especially when you're thinking about the internship, and you're like a month before the actual internship or some other key point in the program. So it can be very, very stressful, but it still keeps amazing me how well you've done, even though all these hardships. I mean, just an exceptional group of students, and it's been a joy watching on the side your development and work. So
Well,
many
thanks
thanks.
to you as well. I think the teachers really encouraged us as well. And anytime we did something we felt was too tiny, it really blew your mind. So it was really good way to encourage us and help us know that you know it's not an easy road, but it's possible. So I think we'll say kudos to you and the team as well.
Thanks.
And one thing that we haven't mentioned that I really appreciated, even though I had already found my internship place, was the demo day. That you really make those connections with companies and introduce us to them, or give us the opportunity to show our work to them. So it's like, I remember when I first checked the PC's internet page, like I saw these companies there, and I was like, it really caught my eye that there were those companies, and they weren't there just for the looks, but they really were part of the program, and giving internship places to my fellow students. So it's really nice. And the demo day, it had a lot of companies, and I think that some people found their internship places via that demo event. So thank you for organizing that for us.
My pleasure.
What I wanted to kind of still say is the program was really good, especially for us adults, I think, for having a shorter road to the web development, instead of having to apply to university or technical university and spending maybe 4 or 5 years, is something that many of us, we don't really have that option anymore available to us. So then having this kind of 1 year of studies and then the internship is kind of like the perfect ideal way of doing it. And what I kind of, it's a kind of regretful in a way that we joined the program at this stage, because it's still, I think, evolving. So it's going to be like better for every group that comes in after us.
That's
in a
our
way.
goal.
So it's, yeah. So I'm kind of, if we would have if we would join the program in 5 years, kind of like how great would it be then? But I think, last year was very hard for everyone. I think kind of the whole situation with the virus just messing with everyone and the teaching, and kind of, I think, in a way it messed up the plan of how the teaching would go. So the only kind of regret I have in that sense is that I would have wished that there would have been maybe more structure for the spring and the autumn, but I guess it was kind of no one knew what would happen, and how to plan in that situation was very demanding for the teachers.
Yeah.
I also found that the year was very demanding, but it also gave a lot. So, like I said, I chose a program where I was gonna be in a school setting. It changed into distance learning. I got worried about how the COVID would influence the internship places. And I never imagined that I would do an internship totally remotely. So in that sense, that the school went remote, it helped me to work remotely during my internship. But I didn't expect those things at all when I started. So plans were changed, but all in all, I'm very happy that I took this step and got into the school in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, we as a school are a member of Koodia Suomesta ry, and I'm in the Slack group, and there's some very interesting information. And during the COVID, when pandemic situation where everything was very foggy, there was an interesting poll about different companies of what are they doing right now, and many of them were in a like wait and see mode, but some of them were like, now we're going to grow, and more demand, and then it was really like a relief for me, because I was worrying for the worst. And about the length of the program, I think that we have discussed and thought about what is our place in the Finnish education system. So on the other hand, we have these very good university programs but they are quite slow and they are not so agile. And on the other hand, we have very good private players who have very short and are very programs and are very agile. And then we try to position ourselves in the middle. So we are publicly funded, but we want to be as fast and agile as possible. And 2019 programs were a great test for us to test out how fast can we do it. And I think that we at the end thought that maybe 9 months is just not enough. And now your program, I believe, was approximately 17 months or 1.5 years. So that has been like the standard from that on.
Yeah, I think it's a really good length for this program. It's not it was really ideal for me, and I think it I'm not the only one.
Yeah, exactly. It's for adults who want to switch careers. It's kind of those maybe 3-4 month programs sound a bit short to actually develop your skills. Well, of course, we are also still juniors, very much so, but a year already gives you so much more. And with all the projects, I think the projects were so valuable that we can now really show something in our portfolios that we've been working on something. And in 6 months or 3 months or something, you can't really build too much on that.
Yeah, I agree. And to top it up with the internship was also really good because it gives you much more confidence with what you have learned already. And I would say that it's a good it's a good length for studies to switch into careers like this. And I will say a lot will be expected from the individual because you don't have to necessarily only focus and depend on, or maybe to put it in a better word, to just do classroom work and just say you're done with studying. No, it demands a lot from you as an individual to study further, ask a lot of questions, and it's even much easier when you have a little bit of prior knowledge before you join the program. It really helps you to understand and grasp things really quickly. So overall, it is a good timing with a lot of effort from the individual.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the discussion.
Thank
Thank
you.
you too.
Thank you.
It's really a good opportunity to share.